What's a simile for your life? You know what a simile is? Life is like Forrest Gump, life is like a box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get, right? Or maybe life is like a roller coaster. It's filled with ups and downs. But whether you choose to scream or enjoy the ride is entirely up to you. I like this one for Pam because she likes cameras, and it says life is like a camera. Focus on what's important. Capture the good times. Develop the negatives. But if it doesn't work out, take another shot. Right? But my favorite, the one that I do, the one that I like, is life is like a book. Some chapters are happy, and some chapters are sad. And some chapters are exciting. But if you never turn the page, you'll never know what the next chapter holds for you. What's yours? What do you relate to? Life is like, you know, most of the time I hear something about like life is like a book. And if it is, then what's written in your book? You know, if you're writing your own book, if you have the opportunity to write your own pages, which by the way you do, but if you had the opportunity to write your own pages, what would they be filled with? What is your goal? Do you have a goal? How does your story end? How do you want it to end? You know, because every story has an ending, right? Some are happy, some are sad, but they all end at some point, right? But when you get to the end of the book, what do you want to have been in your book? What's your goal? What do you be remembered for? I can tell you for me, I like for them to say, well, you know, he lived a life that was pleasing to God. I think that's the number one thing you can have said about you. Ronnie lived a life pleasing to God. Kenny lived a life pleasing to God. John lived a life pleasing to God. I think that's the best thing anybody could ever say about you. But secondly, as though the first one's not a big enough goal to take up all your time, is that I'd like to be a part of leading people into a closer relationship with Christ. That's my second goal. And I think, you know, you put those two together, because I think if you're leading people to Christ or you're enhancing their relationship with Christ, then you are indeed leading a life that's, what, pleasing to God. So that's my goal. And I don't know what your goal is. And it's something to think about. What do you want to be remembered by? Because if you're not living out your life like you want to complete a goal, then what exactly are you living towards? Are you just waiting? Are you just waiting? Something to think about. What are your pages going to be filled with? Because you have a direct influence on that. Now today, and for the next four weeks, we're going to be talking about somebody who had a great impact on Christianity. Peter. Simon in today's scripture, but Peter. And we all know Peter, right? Helped spread the word. But Peter was just an ordinary guy, just like me and you. I mean, he's an ordinary Joe on the street, working, trying to make ends meet. And I think a lot of times we can relate to Peter, because we have some of his same characteristics, right? Sometimes, as you'll see in the weeks to come, you know, we have that ability to say something without even thinking about what we're saying, right? Our filter drops and just comes right out before we even think about it, right? And sometimes we act irrationally. But sometimes we do a lot of good, right? So there's both ends of that spectrum. But Peter covers a lot of things, and we're going to go over that. Today's story, we're going to start where Peter is first meeting Jesus. Now, Peter and his partners have been out fishing all night, the story tells us. And they caught, what? Nothing. You ever been fishing, had one of them days? Been out there fishing all day, you come back, where's your fish? Big one got away. He was this close to the shore, and I mean, he just broke that line. He was going, you know. But besides the fish story, we don't have anything, right? Sometimes we have those days. When Peter's having one of those days where he's been out all night fishing, and this is what he does for a living, and he's got zero. I just like to work your whole shift and come home with zero. So he's come home with nothing. And there's a man that we know as Jesus now, a man on the shore, and he's teaching or preaching God's word. And as he is, the people are crowding in on him. They're getting closer to him, and you know, because I guess they wanted to hear what he had to say. You know, back in those days, there wasn't a megaphone, there wasn't no bullhorn, there wasn't no mic system set up with speakers on the side to broadcast. So if you wanted to hear, you had to be close in, right? So they're crowding in on him, and Jesus is like, I need my space. So he comes across this boat, and he asks Peter, he says, will you push me off the shore? Will you push me off the shore? Now, if we look at that, I want you to think about it from Peter's point of view. You've been up all night. You're tired. You're frustrated. You caught no fish. You're waiting to go home and get this fish smell off you, or non-fish smell off of you. You're waiting to go and get this off of you and clean up, maybe sit back and relax a little bit. And here comes this teacher. He climbs in your boat and says, hey, can you push me off the shore a little bit? Now, how many of you would say, okay, and push him off? Now, you don't know it's Jesus. Now, see, you have the advantage of reading this as history, as something that happened in the past. So you know how the story is. You know this man is Jesus. Peter doesn't know who Jesus is. He has no idea. It's just a man teaching. And he climbs in his boat and says, will you push me off? How many of you would say yes? Don't lie. Remember, it's church. It's church. Right? So I think most of us would be like, get out of my boat. I need to go home, right? I got things to do. I'm busy. I'm a busy man. I don't know if you've seen this. I've been working all night. I'm busy. I got stuff to do. You need to get out of my boat. But I wonder, that's not what Peter did, is it? No, Peter pushes him off the shore. But I wonder, how many of us do that when Jesus comes and says, you know, can you push the boat off the shore a little bit for me? I wonder how many of us use excuses. I'm tired. Excuses, I'm tired. I'd like to help you out, but I'm tired. I worked all week. You know, I'm a busy person. I'm a mom. I'm a grandma. I got things to do. I have to tend my garden. I got places to be. I'm important. And I'd like to help you out, but I'm kind of busy. Jesus says, well, can you just push me off the shore? Can you help me with the homeless people? Can you help me with the homeless people? Can you give them some love? Can you give shelter to those in need of shelter? Can you talk to people about me? Can you introduce people to me? Let them know about Jesus Christ. Can you do that? Too hard. Too much. That's too much. Jesus, that boat's too heavy. I can't push that boat. Let me give you a little lighter boat. Can you volunteer at church? Can you sing in the choir? Can you hand out bulletins? Can you come to church and serve me on a regular basis? Can you help with the children in the back? That boat's too heavy, Jesus. I can't quite get you off the shore. I'm sorry. Let me give you something light. How about this? How about if you just commit to being in church every Sunday to worship with me? How about that boat? That's a good boat right there. Can you push that off the shore a little bit for me? You know, I'd like to commit to that, Jesus, but you know, I'm a very busy person. There's ball games on Sunday I need to get to. You know, sometimes that preacher goes past 12. I missed the first part of the game. I can't commit, you know, not during football season, I can't commit to that. Maybe the rest of the year. I got other things that are important. I don't think I can commit to every Sunday. How about this? Can you commit to being in a relationship with me? I mean, a real relationship with me? One where we meet every day, and we talk, you pray, we have a conversation, and you listen to what I have to say. That you get to know me through a study of my word. Can you push that boat off the shore for me? Can you do it? And I wonder what the answer would be. How many of us will say yes, and at what part of that are we willing to come forward and push that boat off the shore? To do that little bit, to make ourselves what? Available. You see, that's what Peter was. Peter was available. And that was what Jesus was looking for, was his availability. He wasn't looking for his ability. Now, Jesus was looking for fishers of men, right? We all know how the story ends. Jesus is looking for fishers of men. So would you go to the guy who has caught nothing all night? Who's fished all night long and caught zero? Is that the guy you're going to go look for if you're looking for a fisherman? Of course not. Because his ability is, a little shaky, right? A little questionable. I want the guy with the big bass trophy, right, on his mantle if I'm looking for a fisherman who knows all the tricks of the trade and how to catch things, right? But not Jesus. He wasn't looking for ability, was he? He was looking for availability. Which is the greatest ability you can have, by the way, is your availability. The ability to say, yes, I'll push you off the shore. Yes, you can use my boat. Yes, you can use me. That's the greatest gift that you have, is your availability. And so we get back into the story, and Jesus has had pushed off, and he's finished teaching. And then what does he do? He says, let's go out to the deep water. Now, by now, Peter's got to be getting a little frustrated. He's been up all night. Right? He's been up all night. Jesus has asked him to do something. He's followed those directions. He pushed him off the shore. Right? Because then, by the way, if you make yourself available, Jesus will use you. Right? So he pushes Peter off. Peter pushes Jesus off the shore. But now he wants to go out in the deep water and fish. I've been fishing all night. I'm from here. I know all the good fishing holes in this lake. You don't catch fish during the day. You catch them at night. That had to be what Peter was thinking. I know fishing. You're just a carpenter turned preacher. You don't know where to fish. I know where to fish. I'm a fisherman. That's what I do. Right? I'm not telling you how to preach. You don't tell me how to fish. But what does he do? What does he do? He was thinking those things. As a matter of fact, his filter must have been down. He said, Master, he said, I've been fishing all night. And we ain't caught nothing. So at least he started to say something. He probably caught us and said, well, you ever done that? Started to say something, like, okay, I better shut up. About to put my foot in my mouth. And he pushes himself off. He says, let's go on out there. Because you said so, I want to go. You see, when you follow Jesus' direction, he's going to send you somewhere. He's going to send you to do something. So they go out to the deep water and they put the nets in. They didn't want to put the nets in. They just were cleaning the nets, but they got to re-clean the nets. We're not going to probably catch anything. They catch anything all night. But it doesn't make any sense. It's just crazy. You're telling me to do something that's crazy. Has God ever told you to do something that's crazy that made no sense at all? Yeah. Yeah. He has me. I still don't understand why I'm up here preaching. But but does he ever tell you to do something this makes no sense whatsoever? But you do it anyway. That's what Peter did. He said, all right, here we go. And they throw the nets in. And what happens? What happens in the story? He doesn't just catch a fish or a couple fish or a big fish. He catches so many fish that the nets are breaking. They're overloaded. And he has to call his partners, hey, come on over. I think we found the fishing hole. I think we found where they're at, where they've been hiding all night. And so they pull their nets in, they're pulling them up. And there's so many fish that the boats are about to sink. That's a fishing story right there. Right? None of y'all ever even told a story that big, have you? But that's a big fishing story, but it's a true story. That is a lot of fish. You know how many fish sticks that is? That's a lot of fish. So the boats are overflowing, which gets me to a point here. So, if you make yourself available, and you invite Jesus into your day, if you follow His directions, He's going to surprise you. He's going to surprise you. You're going to be blessed beyond whatever you imagined you'd be blessed. You're going to see things you never thought you would see. You're going to experience things you never thought you would experience. And that's what Peter and his partners experienced that day. A miraculous catch. A catch that I can't even fathom. How you could pull that many fish in to a point where the boat is sinking. See, if you listen to Jesus, if you follow Jesus, He'll surprise you. But not only will He surprise you, He'll transform you. He'll change you. He'll change you from the inside out. You know, if we read the rest of the story, what happens? Peter falls on his knees, doesn't he? He's humbled, isn't he? You know, have you ever been in those life situations where Jesus sent you somewhere and you did something and you knew that the only way it got done was by God's grace? That you weren't capable of doing that, but God has sent you on this crazy mission to speak to somebody, to do something that's so far outside your box. And you said yes, and you went there, and you did it, and God surprised you with the outcome. So much so that it humbled you. Because, you know, when we get to the presence of God and His miraculous works, we're humbled. We realize that just how great our God is. And that's what Peter did. He fell to his knees. When was the last time that God did something for you that sent you to your knees? I'm going to guess it's been too long. How's that? I'm going to guess for most of us it's been too long since we were humbled to a point where we fell on our knees and praised God. But you see, Peter knew he was in the presence of something bigger than himself. He didn't have it all figured out. He didn't quite understand it. But he knew there was something special about Jesus. So what do? How do we know He's transformed? Well, let's look at this. The final part of the story is that He pushes they pull their boats up to the shore. These boats that are overflowing with fish. Now, in fisherman terms, that's the lottery. Right? If that's your profession and you just got a boatload of fish, you're probably never going to have to work again. You know, you're going to sit around and just tell the story of the day that I brought in the boat filled with fishes and was sinking. People will probably hire you to go on TV and tell that story. You might even have your own fishing show. Maybe write an article in Bass Magazine or something. I don't know. But you hit the lottery. You're going to be good for a while. Right? And when Peter went out there, he was thinking one thing, right? He was thinking about catching some fish. Wasn't he? And Jesus told him to go out there. He didn't want to go. He went out there, but he said, I'm going because what? Maybe there's a slight possibility that I'm going to put these nets in the water, and where I've been empty all night, I might catch a couple of fish, and at least I'll have something to salvage my day, right? So maybe I can make a little bit of money. Maybe I can put a little bit of food on the table. But he won the lottery. He has a boat filled with fish. Now let's go back and read that line here because I really love this. It says that in verse 10, I believe it is, it says, verse 11. It says, so they pulled their boats up on the shore, left everything, and followed him. Whoa, go back. Let's just read the last part of it. Left everything and followed him. So they pull these boats up filled with fish onto the shore and they walk away from the fish and leave them to rot on the beach. and followed Jesus. They left everything and followed him. They left everything and followed him. In other words, nothing was going to come between them and following Jesus. Now I ask you, how many of you can say that exact same thing? How many of you are willing to leave everything to follow him? How many of you say, Christ is my priority and everything else is secondary? You see, because everything else will pass away from this world, right? Fish are going to rot, right? They're going to go bad. Houses are temporary. Cars are even more temporary than houses, right? Things are temporary. It says they left everything to follow him. Do you think he was transformed? Do you think he was changed from the time he got in that boat and invited Jesus into his life and became available for Jesus to become part of his day, to the time he set foot back on that shore? Do you think he was changed? Yeah. He was transformed. You see, here's the points I want you to understand. Is that if you make yourself available to Jesus, he'll use you. I promise you, he'll use you. And if you listen to him, if you take time to listen to what he has to say, he'll direct you. And if you follow him, he's going to surprise you. He's going to surprise you. And when you follow him, he'll transform your life. He'll change who you are. And he'll begin a process that makes you more like him. Peter had choices all throughout that day. He could have said, no, can't get on my boat. Get off my boat. I don't know who you are. Get off my boat. I'm not pushing you out a little bit. Not even a little bit. I'm not pushing you out. Not going to do it. That was a choice. He didn't do that. He pushed him out. He could have said, no, I'm not taking you into the deep water. I've already spent enough time with you. I got to get home. I'll let you use my boat for a little while. It's time. No, it's crazy. I'm not going there. I'm not getting outside my box. I'm going home. He could have said no. But he didn't. He listened to his direction. He could have sat and enjoyed the fruits of the big fishing experience. Basking in all the blessing that God has provided for him. But he didn't. Instead, he chose to leave everything and follow Christ. Each day we get up in the morning, we have choices too. We have to ask that question. Are we willing to push that boat off the shore for Christ? Or, I'm just going to sit there on the beach. You do whatever you want to do, but I'm going to sit right here in my company lounge chair. I'm going to put my feet in the water. I ain't going anywhere that requires me to do anything. I'm not committed. I'm not in. I'm just here. Or are we excited? Do we get up every morning and say, what do you got for me today, God? I know you got something out there. What do you want me to do? Put them in my path. Whoever you want me to talk to, put them in my path. Whoever you want me to help, put them in my path. I just want to meet them. Come on. Whatever you got for me today, I'm ready. I'm ready. Not that I can do it by myself, but I know what? You're going to be right there with me. You're going to be right there with me, and you're going to carry me through. And there's two choices of how you face each day. The question is, do you have enough faith to push the boat out off the shore? I hope you do. Because the blessings that await you when you do are beyond your imagination. And all God's people say, amen.